Leader of Third Party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And the topic today is very relevant, and I think all of us should be concerned with it. The rise of inequality in this province is indeed alarming. Billionaires and centimillionaires are thriving, while more than half of British Columbians are within $200 of not being able to pay their bills. Our parents and elders are forced into homelessness, while we see large corporations rake in record-breaking profits. Inequality harms the fabric of society. It harms our ability to build communities, and too much inequality leads people to give up on the democratic institutions and ideals that we are here to uphold and represent. In yesterday's throne speech, inequality wasn't mentioned once, and yet it poses one of the biggest risks to our society. It is the Premier's job to put a check on growing inequality. My question, through you, Honourable Speaker, is to the Premier. Under his government's watch, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Is this his vision for BC?
Premier. Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I thank the member for the question, and welcome back to the House to the third party. I find it astonishing the member sat through the whole throne speech and said that inequality wasn't in there. I mean, the speech was about making sure that every single British Columbian has access to the basics to build a good life here. It's housing, healthcare, education, childcare. These are things that give people the opportunity to build a good life. And without that foundation, Honourable Speaker, yes, inequality will get worse. I agree with the member. We need to be concerned to give everybody in this province the chance to build a good life here. And that was the entire content of the throne speech.
Leader of Third Party, supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I think it's important to recognize that how we tell stories matters. And with the word inequality not being acknowledged, with the impact that inequality is having on the fabric of this province not being acknowledged, that's a challenge. Access to the basic services are not a certainty for the people of BC right now. People can't access health care. They can't find a family doctor. Their kids aren't getting the kind of services and supports they need in the public education system, and people are more and more turning to paying privately for services that we should be able to count on publicly. Our social safety net has so many holes in it. It's a high wire now. The rise of extreme inequality has provoked growing calls for a wealth tax on the super rich, including from the federal NDP. There's no shortage of badly needed public investments that a wealth tax could help fund in BC, and no shortage of support. Proposals for a wealth tax enjoy a massive public support in Canada, reaching 89% in public polling. My question through you, Honourable Speaker, is to the Premier. Will he be a champion for bringing in a much-needed wealth tax in Canada?
Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I agree with the member that the costs that face British Columbia families are critically important. That's a core focus of our government. The member will see in the budget materials a chart that's produced every year that shows how each year we've driven down the costs for families. And it is focused on middle-income and low-income British Columbians, getting rid of the MSP, getting rid of the tolls on the bridges, bringing down childcare costs, addressing ICBC rates, reducing rates for people who have to drive for work. These are important things that make a real difference for families. And we're going to continue doing that important work for families. And yes, as a matter of fact, my name was all over my constituency on big signs when we put the additional school tax on homes valued at more than $3 million. As we said that those homeowners need to pay a little bit more to help provide the services British Columbians deserve. People that own a second home and leave it vacant, we need you to pay a tax to help offset the cost that you're putting on the rest of us. And I just fundamentally disagree with the member's assertion that our government is supporting people paying more for private care. We're buying private clinics and opening them and running them, especially imaging clinics, running them 24 hours a day in the public healthcare system so that people don't have to pay for them like they did when those guys were sitting on this side of the House.